It's been a great day today. I'm really impressed with the turnout. We've had a lot of families with kids, had a lot of people that live in the Ward 5 and Ward 6 community come, which was kind of the point. This is our first time doing this type of event in this place in the Sligo Creek Stream Valley Park, and it's just been a delight. I think it's really added a lot to what we have as values about Earth Day, being outside, being one of them. This is, one of the crown jewels of our community as far as green spaces go, and it's somewhere that's accessible by trails, so bridging the biking element has been great, so we're really impressed with the turnout today. We have a lot of work to do on our greenhouse gas emission goal still. As you all know, we have this very aggressive goal to achieve net zero by 2035, which isn't so far away, and that's going to take a lot of work on everybody's part. That's going to involve electrification of buildings, something we're working on in our multifamily building improvement grant. It's going to take people switching to EVs, which we're hoping to do by expanding EV charger infrastructure in the city over the course of the next few years. And it's going to involve people making personal changes in their own life, which is, I think, what a lot of our partners here today are helping communicate about. If people are in a position to be able to have solar on their roof, that is a wonderful opportunity, and you're producing clean energy on your own site. We have a program related to that with some of our partners. So it's going to take all these efforts from multiple sides to really get those emissions down so we really meet that goal. And as far as what we've got going on, well, it's still Earth Month. This was our big event. I think everyone needs to start where they're at. Everyone's kind of climate journey is a little different. Not everyone can afford solar, not everyone can afford an EV, but there are, especially for lower and moderate income folks, a lot of programs to help bring that cost down and make that more affordable. With electrification in your home, if you're a homeowner, again, not everyone is a homeowner, it's about, starting small. It's going to take a while to get off gas and switch from fossil fuel. Think of how many things in your home are probably powered by that right now, and not everyone can afford to do that all at once. So setting those, kind of making a plan and talking with your family, making it a priority, and then going after those incentives, which are going to be around for the next 9 years because of the Inflation Reduction Act. We really want folks just to feel empowered, to know that there's tools and resources out there to help support them with that. Actually, my vehicle, along with my husband's, is part of the EV Showcase. We have a plug-in hybrid. So if you can't afford a full EV or you haven't made the full transition, that's a really great middle-of-the-line option where you're still using some electric, but it is a little bit gas-powered, so you don't have that range anxiety. We are also talking about getting solar on our own roof. We are going to get a bid in the next round and see how the pricing looks. We're very fortunate to have a south-facing roof, and we probably will be needing to replace our AC system soon as the summer is coming, which will be a chance to switch out to an electric appliance for that. So yeah, we're trying to walk the walk and talk the talk at my house too. So.
Climate First is a small nonprofit. Our office is in Takoma Park, Maryland. We encourage big banks to reduce their investments in fossil fuels, because fossil fuels, for the most part, are wrecking our environment by causing climate change. And as a result, we're experiencing a lot more amplified storms and temperatures all throughout the world, including where we live right here, Takoma Park. We're not saying they should get out of fossil fuels immediately, but they should start reducing their investments in fossil fuels and fully embracing clean energy. They do invest in clean energy now. A lot of the big banks, Chase Bank, Citibank, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America, those are the four banks that we target, so to speak. They don't invest enough in clean energy, and they still invest a ton in fossil fuels, pretty much for one reason. It's a great investment right now, and they're making a lot of money. Green banking is sort of a misnomer. It's green as environment, that's why we use it, but there's really two types of banking out there that fall under the label green banking. One is green banking by itself, where counties, states, or cities create a green bank, and they use that bank to promote investing in clean energy projects. So if an investor comes along and says, well, I have $100,000, I want to invest it in clean energy. The green bank in that county, say Montgomery County's green bank, they'll come along and say, all right, we can give you $50,000 if you invest in this clean energy project in blah, blah, blah. And the investor goes, okay, I'll do that. I couldn't afford it otherwise. Thank you. The other type of green banking is for individuals like you and me. We need checking accounts, credit cards, stuff like that. Well, there are banks out there that can do that only invest in clean energy. They don't invest in fossil fuels at all. There's other banks like credit unions that are much smaller than the major U.S. banks out there. And sometimes they invest in clean energy, but also sometimes they invest in local affordable housing, issues like that. So green banking is really a misnomer, and it's more socially responsible banking, sustainable banking. Again, that's for people like you and me that need a checking account and savings account and stuff like that. I hope, and we encourage the big banks to not invest in new fossil fuel projects anymore. The International Energy Agency in 2021 said all countries should no longer invest in new fossil fuel projects. That's not saying none, just don't invest in new fossil fuel projects or build new fossil fuel projects anymore. And we ask big banks to do that because that's the right thing to do, according to the International Energy Agency. And also they need to start moving more money into clean energy.
We're here to promote people growing lots of native plants in their yard. Unfortunate tradition of people bringing in plants from all over the world which aren't good for the native insects and for the environment. And a lot of them are invasive and have even taken over our parks. So we want to get rid of the non-native plants and put in native plants. And so we're giving some away. We're just a group of people who get together. We meet on Zoom every Wednesday morning. We encourage other people to grow plants. We have a website, nativeplantsdmv.com. There are a lot of native plants where the pollinators go and get some pollen, and then they lay their eggs, and then when the babies are born, the babies die. There's no food there. They don't have any nutritional value for the insects, but we need the native insects as food for birds and to pollinate our food crops.
Native plants are important because there's a lot of insects that are very specifically drawn to certain plants that are native, and if they're not here, those plants don't have nutrition for the insects that need to pollinate them. It's very important to be able to support the local insects that are here, that support the birds and support pollination, and a third of our food comes from pollinated plants, so we need pollination. Food forests are not a new concept. They've been around for a long time. They're relatively new around this area. There's several in local areas, but they're important because they provide food access to anyone who's walking by. Food forests can go anywhere, and they take lots of different forms. The basic essence of a food forest is they mimic a forest ecosystem. So there's tall trees and understory trees and shrubs all the way down to ground covers. And they can look like a forest. There's a place out in Bowie called Forested, which is a big food forest that kind of looks like that. We have two projects here in Takoma Park, one at the elementary school at Takoma Park Elementary, which is being put in around the perimeter of the playground. And we have another one at the Montgomery College campus in Takoma Park, right on Route 410 on Philadelphia. And that's being designed around the space right on 410, right around the building. The local ones, and there's one in Hyattsville, there's one in Mount Rainier. They're built into little neighborhoods, and they're just designed as really lovely spaces that people can walk in, meander through, pick fruits and vegetables if they want when they're blooming. And part of the reason for food forests is to deal with food insecurity. There's lots of people who have limited access to food, and hopefully this is a way that they can meander through a place and pick berries. There's one over at Capital City Charter School where they have all these berry bushes and a food forest around their ball fields, their sports fields. So when kids are out there, they can pick blueberries, raspberries, and snack on them instead of sodas.
Electric vehicles are one of the best ways that we can transition away from fossil fuels, and we have some stellar volunteers who brought their own vehicles and are super enthusiastic to talk to you about them. So please go by and please ask them about their car. They can't wait to talk about it with you.
We are with the Electric Vehicle Association of Washington, D.C., and that is evadc.org. We have an Ask an EV Owner that occurs on the first of every month. So that is a Zoom call that you can go on our website and ask any questions you have about EV ownership. And that is a great resource. Everyone is very friendly, very welcoming, and knowledgeable. These folks are very much nerds about cars, and they will tell you every detail, the good, the bad. Because we are not a dealership, we are not interested in selling you anything particular. We will tell you the pros and cons of each one of these cars. Essentially, electric vehicles have transformed now so that we have much more diversity in what you can buy. It used to be you could only buy a certain range of models and a certain range of battery sizes, and now we have everything from pickup trucks to SUVs to essentially anything you could ever need now is becoming an electric vehicle. I think anyone should buy one, honestly. If you think it could fit into your lifestyle and you could find the way to optimize your charging at home, I think it's for anyone at this point. And I think at some point everyone will be buying one. It's just right now, you're going to be an early adopter. These are still new. These are still out there. But this is really for everyone. I think you shouldn't buy an electric vehicle if, I don't know. For me, it's hard to say for someone not to buy one because this is an EV advocacy group that we run. But I think it'll be a lot harder if you don't have charging at home. I think relying on DC fast chargers alone would be difficult. But then there's always options like at work. There's always options, especially in the Maryland and Takoma Park area, for just level 2 chargers. You could charge at a 220 volt outlet in many places. You could charge at the movie theater while you're waiting for your movie, while you're watching your movie, and you could be topped off. So there's options out there. I think it's just a little more difficult for those who don't have that level 2 220 volt charging at home. The car has level 1 and 2 charging, essentially that the car runs itself. So on board there is a type of charging system that is running level 1 and 2 charging. So essentially you're plugging something into the car and then the car is negotiating, I have to charge myself this much. So that is for your 110 to 220 volts. But then if you're going on a road trip, there's something called DC fast charging. And that's a little different. So there's special pins that connect to the car's battery at that point, and then the car actually lets itself be controlled by an external charger. So in those cases, for example, this car, which is 7,000 pounds and can hold 7 passengers in its maximum capacity and can go about 300 miles, this car can actually recharge itself anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes, between 20 and 80% on those chargers, because they can deliver up to 350 kilowatts of power in some cases. In this car, it tops out, I believe, at about 220 kilowatts. And that's an hour. And that's when you understand that this car has a 99 kilowatt hour battery, that's a lot of power being delivered very quickly. So depending on where you live in this area, you could get financial incentives from the state of Maryland, DC, and Virginia. Everyone has different levels of what they have. You can get assistance with having a charging system installed at your house. You can get assistance with the price of the car federally. And the incentives are going to vary based on where you live, but there are many incentives. It just depends on doing a little bit of research about where you are in your specific situation. I don't think you're going to see a lot of flying stuff. What you will see is cheap stuff. I think you're going to see a lot more models that are targeted towards that $20,000, $30,000-ish price range. And I don't think you even have to wait for that. I think if you look right now, there's a lot of used electric vehicles that are in that $30,000 price range or even lower, depending on what you're looking at. And then with some incentives, so New Jersey is a great example for this. The Chevy Bolt, you can get that car in some cases for about $15,000 after all the incentives get rolled into that car new, out of the door. And there is now a program where you can get incentives for used cars as well. So I think you don't have to wait for that period, but you'll start seeing new cars in that cheaper price range. Every car manufacturer right now is warranting their batteries between 8 and 10 years. The literature from the Argonne Institute is kind of pointing to the fact that we're going to start seeing these batteries last probably closer to 15 years. And what we mean by last, I don't mean that the battery has suddenly died. I mean that the battery's lost 80% of its capacity. So you started with, a battery that has, I'm making something up, 1,000-mile range. Now you're left with an 800-mile range. That's essentially what we're talking about here. So that's when they consider the battery no longer useful for that lifespan of the car. And you're going to start seeing that even gets increased. As we start seeing that the battery lifespans get better and better and better, they're probably going to increase the warranties as well. They're not going to give you a warranty for 8 to 10 years if they didn't have confidence that the battery was going to last that long. So the range will vary a lot, depending. So you can have stuff like the Chevy Silverado, I believe, gets 400 something miles. And then you can go down to some Teslas that are between 280 and 300. I would say most cars probably fall in between that 200 something, last 290-ish, 300-ish mile range, around there. Right now, we have such a diversity of what you can buy. I think what you'd be best as a consumer to do is honestly rent one, try one out, go for a test drive, take a look at electric vehicles out there. That's how I really got started. I do a lot of traveling, and part of my traveling, I rented a lot of the electric vehicles out there, and you kind of become hooked to it. If once you try it and you see what it's like not to have that transmission and what to drive one of these things, you really do become hooked. So give it a shot. I think you have to experience it first, so you go, oh wow, that makes sense now. There's a lot of good data that it's not just going to be noise pollution, but actual lung disease, lung issues. Even if you assume the worst case scenario where all of these cars are powered by coal and the coal-fired power plants are recharging these cars, it is still, one, more efficient, and two, that is still off-site and not in the center of the city. So there are two major advantages there for these cars for just the local air quality, not just noise. I mean, it's huge.
I'm here to represent Montgomery County Parks and our Roots to Rocks biking program. So basically we go around the county and we offer different bike programs for all sorts of different ages and skill levels with the intent of mostly using natural surface trails, so mostly mountain biking kind of clinics. We do, like I said, learn to rides, skills clinics, and getting people out on trails, just getting them more comfortable with the different networks around here and just seeing it as a resource. So our biggest thing is trying just to break it down and make it more easy and approachable for people to come be a part of the awesome resources that are available to them. But we will give you a lot of skills on a bike that you can take to road biking as well. We'll give you a good foundation so that if you do want to explore the roads, you'll feel more confident about what you can do on a bike, so that crossing that road might not seem so scary, or maybe riding on the bike lane next to the road and the cars might not be as intimidating when you get some of those skills under your belt. The best thing to do is really just to get out and start exploring around your neighborhood. I mean, just get out and start riding, the easy paths through parks that you're aware of, and just feel more comfortable about that kind of thing, and just make some short goals. Maybe ride to the grocery store and do your grocery shopping, and then come home and start to add more on as you get more of that confidence underneath you and feeling better. Some other ways to feel good about yourself is to go through your bike. Make sure that it's well prepped, that it has air in the tires, that you're doing your ABC quick checks, you're riding with a helmet, and you've gotten it ready for the season, sort of thing. Make sure you're lubing it up and you're taking care of the basic mechanics stuff that you need to know is good to go, so that you can do those trips and not find yourself stranded on the road. Well, there's all sorts of good helmets. I mean, anything you're gonna buy from a bike shop's gonna be pretty good, but usually they have this kind of tightening thing back here. There's also this fun thing called MIPS, which is another level of safety, but anything from a quality bike shop should be safe enough for you to ride with and feel good about yourself on the road. As far as tools, any bike shop as well can give you a little toolkit and kind of show you what you need in order to have a road safety kit, so you can make minor repairs and keep yourself rolling. You can find us on Active Montgomery. We have all of our programs through, like I said, Montgomery County Parks, and you can just look up Roots to Rocks programs through the Active Montgomery website, and you can register for our programs and come join us.
The Greater Washington Region Clean Cities Coalition helps people transition to clean transportation energy. So we help private citizens as well as public and private fleets reduce their use of gasoline and diesel. We promote the use of a few clean fuels. That's electric, biodiesel, propane, hydrogen, CNG, and RNG. And we improve the knowledge about all of these different clean fuels and funding opportunities. And we also work with municipalities to increase access to charging, help them transition their fleets over to cleaner fuels, and we come out to events like this. GWRCCC.org is where you can find us online. We're also on social media at GWRCCC. We're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. So we have quite a few programs. We have implemented quite a few charging stations with the MAEP program. Our partners are Blink and Green Spot Charging. So we've helped get chargers in Frederick County, Montgomery County, Prince George's County, and then we're also working on getting more chargers in Washington, D.C. One program that we have coming up is the Gumbo Workforce Development Program. That's one of our newest programs that we're on. And this program focuses on training EV maintenance workers in the region and making sure that underserved communities have access to the clean energy economy and transition. And so at the moment, we are looking for partners such as community colleges and community-based organizations who are interested in hosting the training. So if you are interested in hosting the training, you can come look at our website at gwrccc.org/gumbo program, and we should be able to get you hooked up.
For me, Earth Day, I'm old enough to remember the first one, and so I see it as a really important recognition that it's not just humanity on the planet, it's everything else. Well, I'm really proud of what we're doing already. I think it's great. So we have a suite of environmental regulations at the local level, the bag bans, styrofoam. Now we have just added leaf blowers, so I feel really good about that. We have a sustainability coordinator that focuses a lot on our climate action plan and moving the city forward in concert with the county and state to meet our climate goals. So I'm feeling pretty good about it, actually. You can always do more, but we're doing a lot. My thing now is lowering our food waste and boosting our compost. I'm really a fan of doing the basics first. Changing out your light bulbs, getting enrolled in the compost program. It's 2 buckets in the kitchen, not one. You keep one of them in the fridge in the summer. Those basic things to get people in the habit started thinking about things before you spend money. Then next, an energy audit of your home to see what makes sense for you financially to do in the efficiency and renewables.
I want to invite all of our children to come and make sticker designs with a picture of Sligo Creek on it over at the table with the balloons. And also I want to invite you all to come up and continue this celebration.
To me, our children are often the most important center point on Earth Day, and when we think about the Earth and the future, they're learning from us, and often we adults are not doing things the very best way that we might like to be. We get drawn into the system, we drive our cars and do all these other things that we wish we weren't doing. I think it starts with them, and that's why I love seeing all this youth energy around here on Earth Day and them talking about what's special and important to them and being in this beautiful green park that we love so much. And at home, we do the composting from the city. We used to have our own compost pile that we created, and I'm very proud of my compost pile, but we have now moved to the city composting, and it's a lot more efficient and better for my neighbors. No rats. No, so I really love my children seeing how that process can work and be institutionalized. And at home, we like to promote recycling. We also like to promote flower planting and food planting in our garden so that the children have a relationship with the outdoors and the earth and getting their fingers dirty. I think that's a really important part of upbringing and inspiring other youth who don't maybe always have access to a little piece of dirt. So that's what this park is such a great place for.
The City of Takoma Park is also doing a lot to really help further our green goals. One is important. We have also in the City of Takoma Park banned gas-powered leaf blowers. Many people didn't realize, but we have our own laws about that, so we've corrected that. But another big thing that we've done in the City of Takoma Park is offered grants to multifamily buildings that are in need of energy electrification upgrades and building improvements. So that is something that's been really important for us as it pertains to equity, but also as it relates to advancing electrification within our city.
You're kind of in a race between how fast you can fix things and how much you can minimize the damage against the flow of damage that's going to come. And the slower we act and the less we do, the more expensive it's going to be. We won't even be able to stop it. Then we're stuck with mitigating it. Like, how do you deal with more flooding? How do you deal with crops not growing? So having to find new crops to grow. So that's one level of problem that's like at the big level, and it's beyond our immediate ability to fix. The county put in place probably the strongest climate plan in the country. Our goals are 80% reduction of greenhouse gases by 2027 and 100% by 2035. When we passed it, we had no idea how we'd get there, but we wanted to set a target that would challenge us every day. You can never say, hey, we got this done, unless you actually got 80%. So you'd always be pushing. One of the big limitations is that the plan is for everybody, but only the government has the ability to act in government spaces. We can require commercial buildings to do certain things. There are limits on how much we require. But if homeowners don't do things, if homeowners don't change a gas stove to electric stove, if they don't change a gas heating system to something like a heat pump, if people don't take those steps themselves, then we'll never achieve any of our climate goals. They're not attainable. All the assumptions in the plan were that everybody, the government, the businesses, and the residents, all of us are doing everything we can. The biggest challenge is getting everybody to say, I realize I have to do this, and set a plan for themselves about how they'll get there and be able to do it. So I mean, say for a homeowner, maybe you can't say, gee, I can't do this heat pump now, but I'll do it in 5 years, and I'll be putting money away to help myself do it. There'll be probably more tax credits. We will have a pretty aggressive credit program. So we're going to do a lot of stuff to help, but we really need everybody to kind of work together, and we need residents really to take some responsibility. You know, changing your car is an easy thing. They're going to get cheaper within the next couple of years. They're going to get a lot cheaper because the batteries are getting way cheaper. So there's a lot of reason to believe we could do this if people make the right decisions. And we'll keep putting money out. We'll keep helping people. We'll provide technical assistance. We're here to help. The ball is in our court collectively. What I've done so far, I put solar on my roof. I've got an electric car and electric charging. I'm about to get an electric induction stove, and I'm replacing next week. Probably I'll be replacing my hot water heater with a heat pump water heater. And my next project for either the end of this year or next year is to take out my heating system, air conditioning system, and turn it into a heat pump. My system is relatively new. I have no reason to replace it other than it's hard to say we should do this unless I'm willing to do it too. And I can make my system last another 10 or 15 years, but I'm not comfortable saying it's okay for me to do it for another 10 or 15 years. So I'll do what I can. So I'm feeling this as a homeowner, but it feels good when you do it. Like right now I have an $894 credit on my electric bill. And that was with paying for electric over the winter, but I didn't have full solar. So now I'm starting this year, and already my credits are exceeding the amount of electricity I'm using. That in itself is a good move. It might give you some of the money to pay for something else. Actually, I could look at it this way. The money I'm saving could pay for my stove in a year, could pay for my water heater with the tax credits in a year, and my heat pump, it would help. People don't want to hear people lecturing them and then watch them drive a gas-guzzling car and not do anything in their own lives. I get it, and I get it because I've been involved in this stuff since the first Earth Day. And so this has been a long-standing commitment of mine. When I remodeled my house, it was super high-efficiency stuff at the time and heavily insulated walls, which in itself dropped my electric bills. So I know why this is important.